The former U.S. President Donald Trump's legal problems are far from over. A federal judge in Florida has given him until Friday to answer several crucial questions about his new lawsuit. This relates to the FBI raid at his Florida home 2 weeks ago. Judge Aileen Cannon wants to know if Trump is seeking any injunction related to material seized on his property until the lawsuit is resolved. The order came a day after the former president filed suit in the U.S. District Court, asking her to appoint what's called a special master to review the documents that were confiscated by the FBI. We're joined now by Voice of America journalist Vincent Makori. Vincent, good day to you, and thank you very much indeed for your time. To watch what's happening in the United States from where we are in South Africa, it seems this is a real test of the political power of Donald Trump on the one side and the power of the legal system on the other. How do you see it? Is it that clear?
You know, it is very clear. Both are there, and they go side by side. You know, the legal side is strong, it's powerful, and it functions in that the Justice Department, of course, is continuing with its work. But at the same time, on the other side, you have to really acknowledge the fact that many other things are also about perception. So politically, it can be used to bolster the support from Mr. Trump's side because it's what they see and what it lets them kind of interpret this to mean. So while, of course, the Justice Department is pursuing a case based on the law, Mr. Trump is fighting, of course, to stop them on their tracks and, of course, at the same time, to cast this as a political witch hunt, which has always insisted as being the issue between him and the Justice Department. So while this goes on, and he, of course, you know, rightfully has asked for a legal master, which is a legal official that is allowed to sieve through the papers and determine which ones should be returned to him and which ones can be held on by the Justice Department. Of course, from his perspective, this is again a continuation of what he has called a witch hunt from the past, and so politicizing it can also work in his favor. And remember, some of these things, while they're legal, there's also a perception. So politically, it becomes an issue of perception rather than the law. So it all depends on how, at the end of the day, he will use it and how his supporters can perceive this.
It's a strange thing, because what's really at issue is whether he took classified documents with him to his home, Mar-a-Lago, and whether he had the legal right to do that. Now, you would think that in normal times, the Republican Party, the party of law and order, of a strong defense in the United States, people who support that party would be against anyone who did this, who took classified documents to their home. But Trump, as we know, is very different, Vincent. It seems in some way to be strengthening the support that he's receiving.
You know, in politics, you know, things depend on where you stand at the particular time. So at the moment, you know, it kind of is on a defensive because at the end of the day, you know, politicians have to see everything from a political vantage position. And so while legally, if he was in the system, if he was the president today, probably he will be talking a different language. At the moment, he is reacting and responding to these things as a person who is on the outside and who is going up against the system. So, of course, when it comes to those documents, the Justice Department has had them now for the last more than 5 days. They probably have gone through all these papers, and while a legal master might be or would probably be appointed for this purpose of kind of trying to determine which of those do not apply, the truth is that you know, the Justice Department determines which of those papers should not have been in his custody. And in that particular development, they will eventually let it be known to him and to the public. And of course, depending on how he defends himself, it will become apparent whether, if he broke the law. And in the United States, the law works, and it will be, of course, taking its course. But you can never avoid the reality that he's also a very powerful politician, very influential, and is eyeing the 2024 presidential race. And some of these things can play into that, but not to say that the Justice Department will desist from doing its lawful job. It will definitely pursue it, but it will definitely be playing side by side with the political sentiments out there, and of course how Mr. Trump himself, President Trump, uses that platform legally, of course, and politically to exonerate himself, but also to bolster his support by creating the perception that this is yet another witch hunt against him. And this can help him a big deal, great deal indeed, as you get closer to the 2024 presidential race.
How important is the person of Merrick Garland to all of this? The person who's the Attorney General, the person who, in the end, the top sort of elected official, appointed official by a politician, who would have had to, I presume, sign off on these search warrants?
Yeah, at the end of the day in the U.S., you're expected indeed to, to pursue, to go by what the law says, what the Constitution says. But at the same time, the judges have been appointed along political lines. But we saw in the last election, for example, that even some of those judges that had been appointed by a Republican president, some of them actually ruled in favor of what was seen as, justice. And so, in fact, it's hard to say that because maybe a particular official has been appointed by, one or the other party, that is going to necessarily lean towards the other side. It is believed that they are guided by principles of the law, and that whatever ruling, whatever judgment, whatever case that will be presented will be on the basis of what the law of the land says and what the Constitution stipulates as regards the rights of every individual, and also what the responsibilities and duties of the Justice Department are.
Vincent Makori from Voice of America in Washington, D.C. Thank you very much indeed for the time. Really do appreciate it.